Yes, Sairaj Mishra, can you hear?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Have
Good
you been
afternoon.
to us in the offline mode also? Have you come?
No, sir.
Oh, somebody else from Odisha came. I'm confusing. All right. Where are you now? Which place?
Currently, my native place, sir, Balangir.
Bolangir. So,
Yes, sir.
can you profile your district, Bolangir? Give a profile.
Yes, sir. My district is situated in the western part of Odisha.
Hmm.
It has specifically agrarian economy, where
Hmm.
around more than 70% of people are engaged in agriculture. Paddy is the most important crop. There
Hmm.
are small scale industries are also, sir. There is one ordnance factory here. And sir, it is also known as the cultural capital of Odisha, Balangir, because of the famous Ranipur Jhariyal Chosat Yogini temple, which is one in four such temples in India. And
Hmm.
also, sir, there are other tourist destinations such as the Gandhamardhan Hills, the Harishankar Narsingnath Temple, etc. Sir.
Hmm. And how is performing on the economic side, socio-economic indicators? You have only mentioned about the cultural indicators.
Yes, sir. In terms of literacy, Balangir has a literacy of around 65%, but there is a gap between male and female literacy. Uh, in terms of sir, it is a aspirational district as well, but it is ranking. Its ranking is not that good because in the aspirational district ranking we are at 94th position, and apart from it, sir, currently Balangir has seen the inauguration of a Lower Suktil project. Also, projects like Balangir Khordha railway link is under construction. So, because of these projects, sir, Balangir will definitely see economic growth and prosperity in near future.
Can you name some flagship programs run by your state government to take people out of their unemployment, poverty, and general well-being?
Yes, sir. For agriculture, for farmers, there is Kalia Yojana, which also gives income support. For health, there is Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana, which is a health assurance project, and almost 90% of the state population is covered under it. For urban areas, sir, for slum dwellers, there is Jaga Mission, where they actually recognize the slum dwellers as city makers and give them the land rights there, and also uh, they work for the slum upgradation. Apart from it, sir, there are some infrastructure projects as well, such as in my area, there is Biju Expressway, Biju KBK Yojana, which basically focuses on this backward districts.
All right. You must have heard about central sector schemes and centrally sponsored schemes. Can you
Yes, sir.
can you distinguish between the two with some examples?
Sir, central sector schemes are those where funding is completely done by center, but the implementation is done by state. Uh, Example of central sector scheme
Implementation is
is
by the state.
yes,
Central
sir.
sector scheme implementation by the states or by the center itself.
Sir, in some cases, as far as I can recall, state also plays a role in implementation.
No, but mostly it's done by the central government only.
Okay, sir.
Hmm.
And in centrally sponsored schemes, sir, there is basically division of funds. For normal state, it is usually 60 is to 40, and for hilly and northeastern state, it is 90 is to 10.
Give some examples of both the schemes.
Sir, PM Vishwakarma Yojana, the recently launched, that is a central sector scheme.
Mhm.
Uh, Coming to centrally sponsored schemes, sir, I'm not able to exactly recall right now, sir.
Hmm. सर्व शिक्षा अभियान, बेटी बढ़ाओ,
Yes,
बेटी
sir.
पढ़ाओ.
Yes, sir, Beti, but yes, sir, yes, sir.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
education related schemes, they are basically come under this bracket.
What was your optional paper in the UPSC?
The geography.
Geography. You have kept geography. All right. Uh, can you tell me who defined the term geopolitics and what do you mean by geopolitics? And what is the Rimland theory? Rimland.
Sir, although I'm not able to recall the exact person who coined this term geopolitics, but geopolitics is basically uh, a field of study where geography plays an important role in countries dealing with other countries and the shaping of international events. Coming to the Rimland theory, sir, it is an important geopolitical theory given by Nikolai Spikeman, where he actually refuted the Mackinder's heartland theory, where he actually said that the world history is basically a struggle between land and sea power. Rather, Spikeman in the Rimland theory, he said that it is actually a struggle between countries in the Rimland, which is basically facing the ocean, and their struggle for supremacy ultimately decides the world order.
All right. Shafiq sir.
Uh, what are your hobbies?
Sir, I take interest in doing light physical activities like barefoot running and calisthenics. I also have a hobby of maintaining a reflective journal, sir.
Reflective what?
Reflective journal.
Reflective journal. What is that?
Sir, basically, for me, it serves three purposes. First
Mm,
of all, it is a problem solving tool for me.
mm.
Secondly, sir, it is a tool for my mental well-being. And thirdly, sir, it gives me a third person perspective to look at things and not being biased towards my own views. So in this, sir, basically I write whatever I experience day-to-day events, if something happens, and then I try to interpret it in a more intelligent, in a more unbiased manner, so that I can navigate life more peacefully and more wisely.
Can you extrapolate this principle to international relation?
Yes, sir, certainly. In international relation as well, the countries need to reconsider their steps, and with time, they need to change their approach towards different policies and different dealing with different nations. For example, in case of India, sir, in the earlier times we had the non-alignment movement, but as the world order changed and as we reflected on our own international policy, now we are in the phase of real politics, in the phase of strategic autonomy, where we are focusing on multi-alignment and ensuring our own national interest. And it became possible only because India reflected on what it did, what went wrong, what went right, and it came up with a more recalibrated approach.
Do you think that we have made a mess of our neighborhood policy? What with Mauritius and China, Pakistan is of course a permanent enemy with Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and all.
I don't think, sir, India made a mess with its neighborhood first approach. It is true that every country works for its own national interest. Even when we look at the Maldives problem, where the Mohammad Muizzu government is basically telling India to take back its troop and taking a pro-China stand, I think that it is basically a consequence of political cycle. For example, his predecessor, Mr. Ibrahim Soli, he was pro-India, so it is basically their government and their approach what is yielding their dividend. And I think India is managing its neighborhood pretty well. It is true, sir, that we can choose our friends, but we cannot choose our neighbors. So we have some hostile neighbors, but India is basically standing up for the right things, and I think it is doing well.
And what about our relations with Nepal?
Sir, Nepal has been India's one of the good partners since the Treaty of Friendship in 1950. But recently, the border issues regarding the Kalapani region, the Susta region, I think that has been a kind of a weak point in our relationship. Also, sir, prior to that, the Nepal blockade, it also kind of irked the government. But however, sir, India is strongly engaging with Nepal. We have many projects such as the Pancheshwar multipurpose project, the Upper Karnali project. We are trying to build goodwill with Nepal with opening the doors of diplomacy. So I think, sir, it is India is managing its neighbor in a more by adopting the way of dialogue and diplomacy, and I think it will be right in a very near future.
So you don't think that there is any need to change our approach towards our neighbors?
Sir, our approach has
Do
been
we
changing.
need to mend our ways some aspect, not all?
Yes, sir. The big brother perspective of India is one of the points which has kind of bothered some of our neighbors. And India is slowly changing that approach by considering these countries as equal partners. Even when you look at the projects, starting from Bangladesh, where we are developing a nuclear power plant at Rupur, or Bhutan, for that matter, where India is also helping in the development of the Gelipu Wellness City. So I think, sir, India is considering these as their equal partners. There is enough steps taken to share that big brother attitude. And India's soft loan diplomacy, which distinguishes itself from the China's checkbook diplomacy, I think it is also one of the approaches that India has taken in the recent years.
You are a student of geography.
Yes, sir.
So tell me the role of geography in development of different states, particularly with reference to demand of a special status by some states. What is that?
Sir, in the demand of special status, geography has a huge role, because in that the categories such as border states, states with geographical backwardness, difficulties, I think they are given priority in terms of giving the special funds and special status. So if you look at the demands, even Odisha is demanding special status in terms of the presence of drought-prone area, hilly areas, especially in the western and southern districts. So in that sense, sir, geography actually forms the basis of giving
Where is the geography
special
involved in
status.
this? Odisha is
Sir, for
asking because
example,
of poverty. Where is the geography involved in that?
sir, for example, if I give the example of Northeast and first and then Odisha. For example, in Northeast, it is basically hilly terrain, and the border areas, it is difficult to be demarcated. So there is need for more fund and more security for the overall development of the state, and this is due to geography. Coming to Odisha, sir, especially the backwardness of western and southern Odisha, it is partly responsible for the uh, presence of eastern Ghat and western rolling upland. Also, sir, this region is forested and tribal dominated. So because of this geography, sir, connectivity projects has been difficult in this region. So according to this demand, sir, I think this is how geography forms the basis of it.
What about Bihar?
Sir, looking at the Bihar government's argument, they say that there is intensity of disasters more there. For example, floods in Bihar or the droughts. So they are giving that example, sir, along with the socio-economic backwardness.
I think you have to revisit this. They are saying that they're landlocked states.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is the geographical aspect of the demand.
Yes, sir.
So there is a, theory that states which have sea coast, they have natural advantage, geographical advantage, which the landlocked
Yes,
states don't have. Do you agree with that?
yes, sir. To some extent, yes, sir. For example, if we look at even the historical development of India, we see that many port cities were developed in the coastal region. And we see that development eventually decreases from coast towards the center. So in that sense, sir, I think geography definitely plays a role. That is also one of the concerns of countries like Nepal and Bhutan, who don't have a coast. Even when you look at the Russia-Ukraine war, sir, Russia's capture of Ukraine, one of the reasons for it is lack of warm port, because Sevastopol in Crimea is only one port that is available to Russia. So because of this region, I think coastal states definitely have an advantage. And even as we earlier discussed, the Rimland theory is basically based on this assumption only. That is, the coastal states are they have better advantage.
Yeah, that is the geographical aspect. Otherwise, this poverty and all that and disaster, these are happening in every state. So that basic thrust of those landlocked states are that they have got natural disadvantage in not having a sea coast or these things. So you should, I think, that aspect you should consider. Extrapolate that to our relationship with Afghanistan. How would you define that?
Yes, sir. Afghanistan is also one landlocked country, and we don't have direct contact with Afghanistan. And in order to reach there for any kind of aid or any kind of trade, we need to pass through Pakistan. That is one of the dilemma. That's why, sir, we are now developing the Chabahar fort so that we can get access to Afghanistan as well as Central Asia. So, sir, in this case also, geography plays an important role.
Okay. Now, can you tell me something about this electoral bond issue?
Sir, very recently, Supreme Court quashed the electoral bond scheme, and this is because of three reasons, sir. First of all, it kind of hampered the voters' right to information, that it violated Article 19. Secondly, sir, because of the anonymized donation, there was apprehensions about politicians and corporate nexus. And thirdly, sir, this scheme particularly failed the proportionality test, where it could not balance between the right to informational privacy of donors and the voters' right to know. So, because of these three reasons, sir, it was nullified by Supreme Court.
What is the alternative?
Sir, in my opinion, sir, I think the present system was certainly better than the previous cash-based system. So the next alternative should be some tweaks in the system where we can make this process of donation more transparent by revealing the names of donors. Secondly, sir, we can also take the route of some European countries where they have a cap on corporate donation.
Can you tell me
So
the
in that,
special features of this scheme, existing scheme which has been quashed by Supreme Court? What was the special features?
sir, electoral bonds were basically uh, anonymous donor bearing instrument. These were paper instrument where which can be purchased from any SBI branch, can be donated to any political party, and they have to encase that bond in 15 days. So there were some eligibility criteria for this as well, because only political parties who are registered and who have got 1% of the valid vote in past election, they can only avail this facility. So the main issues with these schemes were that number one, there was no cap on donation. For example, in the erstwhile scheme, a corporate can donate only 7.5% of the average profit of last 3 years. But in this case, there was no such cap. So there was a problem of shell companies donating it. And secondly, sir, it was anonymized. So because of this, there was problem of this nexus.
Okay. Okay, Shashi. Take over.
All right. Coming to some international issues, what is India's claim to have a seat on the Security Council of United Nations? On what basis we are demanding it?
Sir, first of all, if we consider the demographic and economic power, India is one of number one populated country in the world, and it has the fifth largest economy in terms of nominal GDP. Secondly, sir, we are one of the largest democracy in the world, and we have been a credible power which is recognized by several countries. Thirdly, sir, if we look at our nuclear policy, we have the no first use policy, which shows that as a power, we will never use it for our own advantage. We will always prioritize the world peace over anything else. Fourthly, sir, India has been a leader of global South, starting from the induction of African Union in the G20 to hosting the NAM summit, etc. I think India has been a very uh, appropriate leader of global South. So because of these reasons, sir, I think the changing world order should consider this, and in this way, sir, the modern day institutions such as the UNSC should be properly restructured.
What efforts India is making to get the UN seat?
Sir, first of all, as a non-permanent member in the past years, we have stood up for right issues such as terrorism, such as the Indian Ocean security, and we have shown our credibility. Secondly, sir, we are garnering support from several other developing nations, least developed nations. For example, when we are talking about the countries of global south, or even the recently conducted trade between the European Trade Association. Those four countries are also in favor of our UNSC permanent seat. And thirdly, sir, we are building goodwill by our own conduct. For example, be it a regional security provider or the vision of Sagar in the Indian Ocean region, or calling for dialogue and diplomacy in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine or Israel-Palestine war. So all these things are, I think, sir, India's efforts towards gaining support for its UNSC membership.
What do you know about MC13, which had just been concluded at Abu Dhabi? MC13.
Yes, sir, it is WTO's Ministerial Conference 13, which was recently conducted. And uh, although it talked about the ongoing supply chain disruptions and about the trade barriers raised by country, but there was no conclusive decision on the public stockholding issue, as well as the waiver of uh, import duty on the electronic items. So these were basically some disappointing points. However, sir, WTO, I think the meeting especially it kind of it was an effort towards making the world trade more fair.
What was the issue on investment facilitation development, which was led by China but opposed by India?
Sorry, sir, I have to read about it.
You have to read about it, all right. And what is the fishery issue that is also not being resolved?
Yes, sir, they are opposing against fishery subsidy given by developing countries to its fishermen, and they are calling it illegal and unsustainable fishing. But as a developing country like India, it needs to support its poor fishermen, and that's why, sir, we and other developing countries are opposing this particular provision.
A very new phenomenon has started taking place at WTO, and that's called plurilateral. You know the term plurilateral? Multilateral,
Yes, sir.
plurilateral. Yeah. What is plurilateral in the context of WTO?
Sir, though I'm not very sure about it, it is maybe the multi-alignment approach taken by different countries.
You do not know much about it. All right. Uh, what do you know about the coffee club and how India is concerned with it?
Sir, this is basically a group of countries who are opposing the UNSC permanent membership of countries like India, countries like Brazil, countries like South Korea. So basically, these are the rival countries who are opposing the UNSC permanent membership of these particular countries.
Why
And
they're
these
opposing?
club have,
Why they're opposing? They're opposing the G4, not South Korea. G4 country. Which are the G4 countries? G4.
uh, sir, I'm not able to recall at this moment, sir.
What is their basic objection? Coffee club.
So their basic objection is that first of all they are contenders of these particular nations. So they are also saying that they have the equivalent right on or the equivalent right on the particular UNSC membership. And then secondly, sir, it is basically part of the international politics where every country look for their own national interest. However, sir, I have to read more about it.
All right. Now coming to India, coming back to India, we are trying to develop into a 5 trillion economy by next year. What will get us there? What efforts are under the pipeline?
Sir, first of all, we need to focus on all the three sectors, that is agriculture, industry, and services. In agriculture, sir, I think we need to diversify our agriculture and develop the allied sectors, which has a huge potential. Coming to industrial sector, sir, we have the industrial corridors. We are promoting Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, as well as the recent PLI scheme, which is promoting it. And coming to service sector, sir, I think scaling the new age population in the skills of AI, machine learning, I think that is most important because AI will threaten these skilled jobs in the future. So if you look at all these three sectors, along with more focus on infrastructure development, such as through the PM Gati Shakti plan, or other schemes like that, I think $5 trillion economy will be achieved. But more important than that is, sir, I think achieving any economic target is actually an arithmetic inevitability. But making that growth more inclusive and more equitable, that should be our main motto, sir.
Mhm. You come from Odisha. Why Ashoka had to fight such a bloody war in Kalinga called Kalinga War? What were his motives?
Sir, at that time, Ashoka had acquired almost all the territory of the Akhand Bharat, uh, except the Odisha and the southern tip of Indian peninsula. So it was one of the last conquered territory for Ashoka. That's why he took this initiative.
Mhm.
And yes, sir.
Who was the ruler of Kalinga at that time?
Sir, I think if I'm correctly recalling, I think Kharvela was the ruler.
No, Kharvela never was. You do not know about that.
Sorry, sir,
All
I'll
right.
read
Hmm.
about it.
Tell me something about your hobbies. I don't know. You said reflective journalism
Yes, sir. Writing,
and
reflective writing.
and
And sir, some physical activities such as barefoot running and calisthenics.
okay. What is calisthenics?
Sir, this is basically free body workout where as opposed to using the equipments in the gym, we basically use our own body as equipment. In this, we do the normal exercises such as push-ups, pull-ups, squats. So this is basically a minimalistic way of training and keeping ourselves fit.
Mhm. So you do at home only.
Yes, sir.
And what are the advantages of barefoot walking?
Sir, first of all, the running mechanics improve. For example, when we run with shoes, which has a high cushion, there is heel to toe strike, which is not good for our knees. But when we run barefoot, sir, there is midfoot or forefoot strike, which is a more natural way of running. Then secondly, sir, there is more body awareness. There is more awareness of the ground. And even in Ayurveda, we talk about the Prithvi Tattva, where we connect with the ground. So it has more health benefits. And personally, sir, I have seen that running barefoot is more enjoyable, is more natural, and I get better sleep. So these are the particular characteristics of barefoot running.
But then there can be some attending hazards also, like you can get into some nail or some shisha patthar and all that. It can pierce your, or there can be a snake bite or a scorpion bite. How do you fend off such dangers?
Yes, sir, there are certain issues in it. So that's why there are some thumb rules. Number one, you should never run in the dark. Number two, you should always run in the known territories. And there are certain surfaces which support barefoot running, such as grass surfaces, such as dirt. And thirdly, sir, even the shoe companies are coming up with minimalistic shoes. So
Mhm.
these shoes are more flexible. So anyone who wants to enjoy barefoot running, along with overcoming the obstructions or the limitations given by the normal shoes, he can opt for these minimalistic shoes.
Just now you told sir about coastal areas are more into development compared to landlocked areas and all that.
Yes, sir.
Orissa will come as an exception. Orissa always is a coastal area, still one of the most backward areas in the country. Do you think so? Orissa does not figure very high.
Sir, definitely Odisha has an advantage of a 480-kilometer long coastline. And the fruits of development is certainly seen in the coastal Odisha, which is around 25% of the geographical region. But sir, Odisha faces this classical resource curse phenomena, where the interiors, the fruits of development have not trickled down to the interiors. But sir, things have changed very recently. We have seen that equitable development are taking place. The proper regional policies are being undertaken by government, and I think we'll definitely see the few results. For example, in the recent multidimensional poverty index, Odisha is one of the top five states which witnessed steepest decline in poverty.
Okay, you have to wait for 1 minute. Our third member is on the way. I'll find out whether he's coming or not. So just hold on.
Yes, sir.
Sairaj, what does it mean?
Sir, Sai meaning is something divine, and Raj meaning when it rules. So when divinity rules in a human being, I think that is called as Sai
Okay,
Raj.
Sai Raj. That's okay.
Yes, sir.
That's two words.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. So you are
Rafiq Pandey,
originally from Orissa or
Yes, sir.
Orissa, originally Oriya. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh, can you tell me about Oriya? This Rasogulla. There's a controversy about Rasogulla, origin of Rasogulla. So what is that, and what is your take on that?
Sir, it was basically a fight for GI tag between West Bengal and Odisha, and now both the states have it. West Bengal got it in 2017 and Odisha got it in 2019. Coming to the origin, sir, both states have their own point of view. Speaking as an Odia, sir, the mention of Rasgulla is in our scriptures. For example, the 15th century Dandi Ramayana by Balram Das or the Sarda Mahabharat, they mention Rasgulla. Also, it is very much linked with the rituals of Jagannath temple and Jagannath culture. So, in that sense, sir, we claim it. But coming to the tussle, sir, I think it is good that both the states have got the GI tag, and the Rasgulla also differs. Uh, it is not the same Rasgulla. For example, the West Bengal Rasgulla is mostly milky, chewy, but the Odisha Rasgulla has different texture. It is mostly reddish brown in color. It is non-chewy, and you can eat it without applying teeth pressure as well. So I think it's a good thing that people of our country can enjoy two types of Rasgulla.
Can you tell me about Lord Jagannath history? Something.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
So the Lord Jagannath is basically an epitome of religious tolerance and inclusivity because it has elements from almost all the religions, starting from the tribal aspect to the several other religions. Coming to the history, sir, it is often mentioned that when Krishna left his body, uh, his heart was not damaged. So it flowed to the coast of Odisha, and a tribal leader named as Vishwavasu, he got it, and he actually established Jagannath as Nilamadhav. There is a Nilamadhav temple as well in the Nayagarh district. And post that, sir, in 12th century, the Jagannath temple was built in Puri, and sir, it has a very rich culture. Talking about its inclusivity aspects, sir, I mentioned the tribal involvement of the Vishwavasu. Then, sir, it is often said that the three deities are actually the three uh, teachings of Jainism. That is right knowledge, right character, and right vision. Similarly, sir, the famous Muslim leader Salabiga, he has written so many beautiful poems, beautiful bhajans about Jagannath. Even Guru Nanak ji visited Puri in 15th century. Similarly, sir, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also finds solace in Jagannath temple. So this is how, sir, it actually is very inclusive.
Good.
over to Pandey ji. Pandey ji, this is Sairaj Mishra from Odisha. You are you are muted, Pandey ji. You are muted.
Yes. So, yes, Sairaj, tell us how Odisha is doing in terms of some of the index indicators. Has there been improvement in human development indicators of Odisha?
Certainly, sir. Improvements have been witnessed in several socioeconomic and human development indicators. Starting from, sir, the multidimensional poverty index, Odisha actually witnessed one of the top five decline in poverty. Secondly, sir, Odisha is a leader in the state level National Food Security Index because of its strong system, and it is one of the largest contributor of paddy to the central pool of FCI as well. And thirdly, sir, I think in terms of education and health as well, Odisha is progressing. For example, our flagship 5T program as well as the Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana, which has around 90% coverage. It has actually made health and education very much accessible.
And how would you assess financial health of Odisha?
Sir,
Odisha
I'm
state.
yes, sir. I'm very proud to say that Odisha has one of the most strong economic fundamentals, be it the fiscal deficit that is well within the FRBM limits, or the tax to GDP ratio, which is around 15%, shows its economic credentials. Also, sir, Odisha is one of the largest spenders in terms of capital spending, which is around 5% of gross state development product.
Okay. Now, what kind of challenges 16th Finance Commission will face in its recommendation regarding vertical and fiscal transfers?
Sir, certainly the 16th Finance Commission under Arvind Pangaria, they will certainly face issues starting from the vertical devolution and the complaint about horizontal devolution as well, because we have recently witnessed how the South Indian states like Karnataka and Kerala, they complained about less fiscal transfer and less grants in aid, and the increasing share of cess and surcharge in center's gross pool. So this is one challenge they have to navigate. Secondly, sir, the poor state of local bodies revenue. That is one thing, because in a recent report we saw that the local bodies, especially the gram panchayats, only 1% of their fund is their own. Rest of they are dependent on the central and state level grant. So I think these two are the major challenges that the 16th Finance Commission will face.
What are the major types of financial transfer which takes through Finance Commission to states?
Sir, first of all, they get their share in terms of the formula that are devised. That is, recently it was 41% of the tax pool. It was given to states. Secondly, sir, they also get some specific reforms, specific grants. For example, in the 15th Finance Commission, there was municipal reform specific grants. Mostly, sir, I have to read about it a bit.
Okay, like grants for
Grants
a
in it, sir.
specific
Yes, sir.
and grants which are based on certain performance grant or
Yes, sir.
disaster grant. Anyway,
Yes, sir.
now I would like to take you to the international. What is external situation? If you look at external economic situation of India, what are some of the positive aspects of India's external sector, and what are some of the negative aspects?
Sir, strictly from economic point of view,
Yes.
sir, the good points are that India has, coming to the exports, India has one of the best service sector exports, and the goods are also improving through schemes like PLI, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Secondly, sir, our current account deficit is also improving because of this boost for exports. And thirdly, sir, as India has focused on self-reliance, so it is becoming much more immune to the global supply chain disruption, as we recently seen in this. And because of its diplomatic heft, it actually navigated pretty well through the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Coming to the negative points, sir, I think in some sectors there is huge dependence on some rival countries as well. Talking about the pharmaceutical sectors, almost 70% of our APIs, they are coming from China, even the solar modules. Secondly, sir, in the semiconductor sector, although we are making huge efforts, but still, sir, in the global supply chain, India's presence is presently very minimal. And I think, sir, these are the negative aspect of external economy.
And when you say about how India is going to be beneficiary from this new shift in the global supply chain.
post-COVID, we saw the China plus one strategy adopted by several countries, and they started relocating their industry from China. And due to that, sir, India has become one of the major sectors or one of the best growth destination for these investors, starting from manufacturing of Apple or the smartphones or the indigenous toy making industry. We are witnessing how they are getting benefited from it. Secondly, sir, uh, India's strong economic fundamentals as well as its credibility has actually also earned it many investors. And because of this shift in global supply chain and because of India's multi-alignment approach, that it has goodwill with most of the countries. That's why, sir, also we can assume that we will get benefited from the shift in supply chain.
What is gender budgeting or gender responsive budgeting, and whether Odisha government is applying gender budgeting concept?
Yes, sir. Gender budgeting is a principle in budget making where we take into consideration the different genders, especially the women, starting from the policy making to the beneficiary level. And Odisha is also, sir, one of the pioneer state in implementing the gender budgeting concept. Even when we look at the amount of allocation, Odisha substantially allocates to its women-centric policies, such as the Mission Shakti, such as the other education-related scheme, Kasturba Vidyalayas, etc. So I think, sir, it is there in our policy making.
See, Mission Shakti, what are the major components of Mission Shakti program of Government of India?
Sir, Government of Odisha.
Government of
Pandeyji, I
India or
think,
Government of Odisha, both you can.
Pandeyji,
Whichever you. Yes.
this will be the last question. He has been
Last
for
question.
a long time.
Yeah.
The last
Right.
question, then we'll leave him. Yeah.
Okay.
So talking from Odisha's Mission Shakti program, it is basically empowering the women self-help groups in the grassroots level and transferring this self-help group into small manufacturing enterprises. And for this, sir, there are several components, starting from giving them financial assistance, inculcating leadership skills, increasing their entrepreneurial facility, giving them the required exposure. For example, sir, when we come to Odisha, there is a new bus stand, there is new park. Everywhere Mission Shakti workers are operating the cafes, operating all the necessities. So this is basically a very grassroots empowerment and poverty alleviation scheme, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
You
Over
can
to
go
Mr.
now.
Singh. Yes.
Yeah. You can go now. We'll call you just in a minute.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sairaj, this is our feeling that you are well prepared for the interview. You know your subject and you can express yourself. So that way we are satisfied. There are gaps here and there. So sometimes I think you should take a pause and try to understand the question before answering, so that there is no communication gap in that. Otherwise, we are satisfied. That said, you are well prepared.
Yes, sir.
All the best.
Same here, Sairaj. Yeah, same here. I share his views on your performance. You're quite good. And as a young boy, they'll try to enthuse you, inspire you, and encourage you during the interview. If you want to ask something, otherwise, just read up some current affairs, Odisha related things. Don't prepare too much. Don't prepare too much for the interview. It's not required. You have the right personality to project. Okay. आपको कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ सकते हैं.
Yes, sir. Sometimes actually, because of the vastness of content and preparation, I feel unprepared.
Even the toppers will feel unprepared. That's a general feeling. You are unprepared
Yes, sir.
because how can you prepare everything?
Yes, sir.
Even if you are able to answer, say they'll ask you around altogether 15 to 20 questions, the 5 members, 15 to 20
Yes, sir.
questions maximum. And if you are able to answer around 10 out of 15, that's fair enough. 5, 6 questions, nobody will know. So it's not
Yes,
called
sir.
unprepared. That is excused because you are not running encyclopedia. Your personality can be tested only through 10 questions, not necessarily by 15 questions.
Yes,
That is
sir.
the yardstick there. All right. So that doesn't matter at all.
That's why we feel that you are well prepared. It's not a question of that you don't know a particular question. Nobody knows. I mean, particularly when you are answering, When you questioning someone, then you know everything. You understand? So when
Yes,
you are
sir.
answering, so it happens with everyone. I mean, it's not that nobody is prepared for everything. Cannot be. It's not humanly possible. So that should not affect your confidence.
Yes, sir.
This should never affect your confidence. If you don't know, say it with confidence. I don't know. I will go and study if it's required. But right now I don't know.
Yes.
No. So never be because of that. Don't lose your confidence. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All the best.
Sir,
Okay.
one more last question, sir.
Hmm.
If I'm awarded marks, sir, in what range I will lie?
At the moment, what you prepared, you will be definitely upwards of 170. Upwards of
Yes, sir.
170, not below that.
Yes.
Around that, it will figure around that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.